Today I'm going to share with you everything you need to know about the Kodak Ektar H35 half-frame camera. I'm going to tell you what it is, we're going to go over the specs, I'm going to show you how to load it, how to unload it, I'm going to share a bunch of sample images, and then give you my overall thoughts on the shooting experience with this camera. There's a lot of information here, so if you want to skip around, I've got it divided into chapters. You can find the timestamps in the description down below. Alright, so what is it? The Kodak Ektar H35 is a brand new half-frame camera from Redo Pro under license from Kodak. Now, being half frame means you can get 48 images out of a 24 exposure roll of film or 72 images on a 36 exposure roll. Now, the good folks at Redo were kind enough to send me an early production model for review, and that's what you're watching now. Just look at this styling. It's got a retro vibe. Again, it reminds me of the old Kodak Instamatic 126 cameras from back in the day. It comes in 4 colors. This one is sage. It also comes in black, brown, and sand, and it retails for $49.99 in US dollars. The specs are pretty straightforward. It's basically a box camera. It's got a 2-element 22mm plastic lens. It's got a fixed aperture of f9.5 and a fixed shutter speed of 1/100th of a second. It's fixed focus from 1 meter to infinity. It's got a built-in flash powered by one AAA battery, and it only weighs about 100 grams. Being half frame, the film gate is 24mm by 18mm instead of the 24 by 36 full frame, and it's in portrait orientation, as is the viewfinder. 2 notes about the flash: to activate it, you turn this ring around the lens and wait for the red light to light up. The second thing is, on this early model, even after I turned the flash off, there were a couple times where the flash still fired on the next shot. I did get a message from Redo saying they were going to address this in the August production run. Alright, it's time to load the Kodak Ektar H35 half-frame camera, and what better film to load it with than Kodak Ultramax 400. Take out a roll of this, and we're going to go ahead and pop the latch here. We're going to push this down, and film loads from right to left. We're going to stick that back in there, make sure it's secure. And we're going to find our little slot here to thread this film in. There we are. I'm going to pull a little bit of the leader out. Make sure that goes right in there. We're going to wind it a little bit. We've caught our teeth here for the sprockets. Looks like we're good there. I'm going to close it up. We're going to wind, and the key here is to watch this. There we go. We got the turn. And in the frame counter here, right on frame number 1, so we are good to go. So when I shot this film, I really wanted to take advantage of the half-frame format and tried to compose my images in diptychs, where I picked 2 images that went well together on the same frame. But before we get to the images, let's unload the film. Shot the whole roll, we're ready to rewind, so we're going to push in our little rewind button here on the bottom. And then we're going to take this up here. Rewind our roll here by twisting. Okay, I felt the tension release, and now it's spinning very freely. So our film is all the way back into the cassette. We're going to pop this open, and we can go ahead and pull this out again like this. And now we're ready to develop. Now, when you're ready to process the film, if you send it out to a lab, you want to give them a heads up that you shot it on a half-frame camera. It doesn't affect the developing, but it definitely can affect the scanning or the printing. Having said that, I developed my film using my Cinesto C41 kit, and when I scanned the images with my Epson V550, it recognized each frame as having 2 images, and I had no problem with the scanning process. Alright, now we're ready to take a look at these sample images, all shot on Kodak Ultramax 400. Stick around after the images and I'll share a little bit more about the shooting process and my overall conclusions about the Kodak Ektar H35. So the mechanics of shooting this camera couldn't be simpler. It is a true point and shoot. You don't have to set the aperture, you don't set the shutter speed, you don't focus, you don't even set the ISO. You literally just point and shoot. Now since it's not an SLR, there will be some parallax error, especially if you wear glasses. But once you get through that first roll and see your results, you'll know what to expect and you can adjust for the next roll. I shot 400 speed film on a sunny day and some of my images were pretty overexposed, so if it's really sunny out, I wouldn't shoot anything over 200 ISO. The H35 is super lightweight because it's really compact and it's all plastic, including the lens. Now that plastic lens is going to give your images a softer focus, so if you're looking for a lo-fi aesthetic, you won't be disappointed. I'm not really a big flash guy, but I did want to include a couple flash pictures which have kind of a blown out 90s point and shoot style. For me, the hardest part of shooting the H35 was seeing in portrait orientation. I take the vast majority of my images in landscape, so I had to work a little harder at visualizing compositions that would work in portrait. And of course I did turn the camera for several landscape shots as well. I think Lucy Lumen would get along very well with this camera because she loves point and shoots and she shoots way more in portrait orientation than landscape. So is this camera for you? Well, maybe. Like any other camera, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for images that are tack sharp from edge to edge with no vignetting, well, you may want to keep looking. If you want to take macro or portrait shots with blurred out backgrounds, again, this camera may not be for you. But if you don't want to mess with a bunch of settings and you like a lo-fi vibe, or you're very budget conscious and don't want to blow through a bunch of expensive film and want to squeeze 72 images on one roll, or if you're going on a long weekend trip and don't want to have to pack a bunch of rolls of film with you, then the H35 might just be for you. If you want to pick up the Kodak Ektar H35 half-frame camera for yourself, you can click on the link in the description. And if you want to check out an old school half-frame camera, click on my Olympus Pen EES2 video popping up on the screen now. Until next time, do some good, have some fun, and shoot some film!